and then my midwife was like, Caitie, grab your baby. And I was like, what? Oh my gosh, I'm getting teary even just like thinking about the moment. But where is the green sheep? Savvy, turn the page? You can turn the page, honey. Thank you, darling. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy. Shh, shh, shh. It's time to sleep, darling. It's time to sleep, darling. Hey everyone, the baby's down. She's asleep. I'm keeping an eye on her here. She hopefully will bridge her nap and nap for an hour and a half, so I've got all the time in the world for you guys. Can you believe that she is 6 months already? Like, the time, I don't know whether it's gone fast or quick, kind of both. But yeah, we're having the most amazing time with her. Oh my goodness, this is like the cutest age ever. She started saying bat, 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 and she's like rolling all over the place. Anyway, it's super cute. But I thought, she's 6 months, so it's probably about time I told you guys the birth story. And I promise I will give you all the fun details. So let's get stuck into it. I feel like almost every mum thinks this, but I was like, she's definitely gonna come early. I finished work 2 weeks beforehand and she's gonna come maybe in a week or something. Oh my gosh, the waiting game was like so annoying. I'd go to bed every night and I'd wake up being like, oh, she's not here yet. So she had me waiting until 5 days after her due date, which was just, I was dying with the anticipation. That's a bit of an over-exaggeration, obviously not dying, but that's okay. She was well worth the wait. So basically what happened was, one evening I thought that my water had broken. Basically like my discharge had changed. It wasn't like heaps obvious, but I was kind of like, ooh, like maybe I should go get this checked out at the hospital. So we drove to the hospital and our midwife was like, I don't think it's broken. She did some tests and it turns out it had. So she sent me home and was like, come back in the morning to get everything checked out. So I sleep on it. I wake up, contractions have started. They were every 12 minutes apart, so that's like not too often. Like, I'm not really in labor yet. Anyway, I had to go back to the hospital, so I went back to the hospital just to check everything was fine, because basically once your water is broken, they give you 24 to 36 hours for you to go into natural labor before they induce you. And I was like, there's no way I want to be induced. They actually wanted to induce me that morning and I was like, no, mums, say what you want. You're the boss. I mean, obviously be sensible and listen to like the medical advice, but like if it's well within reason, you can definitely say no. And I really didn't want to be induced because I just heard that it's really intense. Anyway, we were at the hospital getting everything checked out and I had like this really frumpy midwife and she made me cry and it was just like so lame. She was just a bit demeaning and she was like, oh, you're so young, and like, anyway, whatever. I didn't like her. Is 28 really that young to have a kid? If anything, it's probably kind of average. Anyway, whatever. She made me cry. And then we complained. Okay, anyway, so we went home. Everything was fine. And I was like, just going about my day, hoping that contractions would start. And then it got to about 3 o'clock and I was like, okay, if the baby comes anytime from now, I'm going to be kind of tired because I've almost been up the whole day. So let's have a nap. The minute I went down for the nap, there was like a burst. My water broke, like quite obviously, even though it had broken before. But anyway, it like burst this time and I was like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And instantly contractions started like every 3 minutes and it was like so intense. I remember the very first contraction, I was lying in bed and I was like, oh my gosh, James, it hurts so much. And I was like, if this is what every contraction is going to be like, I'm not going to cope. But luckily, for some reason, there was just like a really bad contraction to start off with, which literally went for like 7 minutes. And then it was like kind of a little bit more chill. So anyway, contractions started every 3 minutes and it kind of felt like really intense period pain, but for like 30 seconds. And then I had like 3-minute break. So I waited at home for like an hour and then we called the hospital and was like, hey, like when should we come in? They were like, maybe just come in now. So we packed up our stuff and we made our way to the car. Oh my gosh, I would love to see a woman in labor like getting into the car. I would be like, yeah, you go girl, but also having done it, I swear, I made it to our front door and just had to stand there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm having a contraction. And then I made it to the bottom of the stairs and then I was like, oh, okay, just need to have another contraction. And then I literally was like 5 meters away from the car and then I was like, okay, hold on. And then I finally got into the car and I was like, okay, we can go. Hospital was like 7 minutes away, so very manageable. But yeah, normally it takes me like 30 seconds to get to the car. It took me like 10 minutes. Anyway, whatever, we're at hospital, it's 5 o'clock. We have this lovely midwife. We actually called up beforehand and was like, if that other midwife is on, we don't want her. Again, mums, you can request whatever you would like. Sorry, when I say mums, I mean like mums to be. But yeah, if you're not gelling with a midwife, totally just say, I would like a different midwife. Okay? Good. Advocate for yourself or get your partner to advocate for you because you really want it to be a positive experience. Okay, so we're at the hospital, it's 5 o'clock. They see how dilated I am, right? And she asked me, she's like, do you want to know? Because sometimes it can be like a little bit discouraging if you're not very dilated. And I was like, yes. She was like, you're 3 centimeters dilated. I had to get to 10, and I think normally, unless you're 4 centimeters, they would like tell you to go home and like come back later. But she was like, you're a good 3 centimeters because like something else was like really open or something. But anyway, they didn't send me home, which I was very thankful for. So I had been using a TENS machine, which was like great. I would highly recommend hiring a TENS machine. That was in my other video actually, what was in my hospital bag, if you want to check it out. Anyway, had my TENS machine on and I was loving it, but I really wanted to hop in the bath because I always wanted to have like a water birth. And they had this beautiful bath and the bathroom had like all these fake candles and they had like music playing and diffusers and oh, it was like really nice. And I was like, okay, I want to hop in the bath. So I took the TENS machine off, which I was like kind of nervous about because I was like loving it, but I obviously can't wear that in the bath. So I took it off, hopped in the bath, and I hated it. It was like so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to hold on to. Like every time I had a contraction, I was like, oh my gosh, like how do I brace myself for this? It's kind of slippery and I ended up just like feeling really hot. Okay, no, bath isn't for me, which was such a surprise because I totally thought that I would just have my baby in the bath. So I get out and I wind up like bracing the wall and I'm there for like a few hours. Every time I had a contraction, I was like pressing my forehead against the tiles. And I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have the biggest bruise after this. But like, I don't know, you gotta do what you gotta do. James was amazing. He figured out that, so we did hypnobirthing to prepare for the birth. And one of the things that we had to figure out beforehand was like a trigger word to help me get back into the zone of just like being okay and like being peaceful and being like in control and on top of things. We haven't figured it out, and then halfway through a contraction he could sense that I was like starting to lose it and he was like, don't panic. And I was like, oh my gosh, James, that's the word, don't panic. So every time he sensed that I was losing focus and like losing control and starting to freak out, he'd be like, don't panic, and it would just bring me back and I'd be like, okay, everything's all right. So yeah, he was amazing. He was just, yeah, he was great. But yeah, I was on the wall for a while and then I started feeling the urge to push. I think I'd been in hospital maybe like 3 or so hours, which is pretty quick. My labor was actually pretty quick, which was really nice. So I started to feel the urge to push. All right, it's about to get juicy. So I feel like we should go get some tea, or rather, I feel like some tea. So let's go make some tea. Okay, I am so glad I decided to have a tea break because Savs literally woke up like the minute I stopped filming that, and she did not bridge her nap. We're working on our sleep, her and I, but she's doing pretty good. She's better than she was before, so counting the small wins. Yeah, I had to resettle her, so that was excellent that I decided to have some tea. So we're gonna do it. Singapore breakfast. It tastes like Gaia toast. If you know, you know. And it's pretty yum. But anyway, where were we? yes, I had started to feel the urge to push, which is just like crazy. Oh my goodness. You guys, giving birth is like so hard. I have a newfound appreciation for every woman that has pushed a baby out of themselves. It's just like the most intense thing I've ever done in my whole entire life, and so painful. It was very useful knowing that there would be an end to it, and it's like a good pain because it's got a good outcome, you know? It's not gonna last forever and you get a baby at the end of it. Plus, our bodies are actually made to do it, so it was okay. It was just super intense and so wild. And then what happened? I felt like I could no longer brace myself on the wall and I needed to change position. And I tried a few positions, and every position I tried, I was like, I don't like it. It's like not nice. And then my midwife was like, listen, I hate to break it to you, but nothing is gonna be that nice at this point. And I was like so determined just to find something a little bit more comfortable. Anyway, I wound up on the floor. They like put like a mattress on the floor. I was still in the bathroom and I was like on my side with a peanut ball. Okay, my tea is done and Savvy's about to wake up. So I am going to give this my full attention later today. See you in a bit. Okay, the little honey is now down for her afternoon nap. Okay. So it was a definite pushing time. Oh my gosh. Guys, I was legit pushing for like 40 minutes. It kind of got to the point where my midwife was like, we might have to do an episiotomy if the baby doesn't come out soon. And again, I used my voice and I was like, I want to keep trying because I didn't want an episiotomy. And she was like, that's fine. You can keep trying as long as baby's heart rate is fine. So she, in between each contraction, she like monitored the baby's heart rate and it was like fine over and over again. But yeah, I was like, please, I just want to try one more time. And I like pushed my hardest and her head still wasn't coming out. And I was like, no, they're gonna give me an episiotomy. Yeah, my midwife was so amazing. She just knew exactly what I wanted and what I felt comfortable with. And so she just let me keep trying and trying. Yeah, she was just there for a really long time. And then my midwife was like, Caitie, do you want to feel your baby? And I was like, what? She was like, your baby's crowning. You can feel her head. And I like reached down and I felt her head. I could feel like the hair on her head. And I was like, oh my gosh, the hair. Oh, I could not wait to just like cuddle her, and I don't know, it was so intense, but it was so beautiful at the same time. So basically there was like a period of me just like keeping on pushing and me wondering when she was going to call it and be like, okay, we need to have an episiotomy. Finally, I just like felt a release and her head kind of came out, and then my midwife was like, Caitie, grab your baby. And I was like, what? She was like, grab your baby. And I reached down and I like pulled the rest of her out and just put her on my chest. I had no idea how I would react in that moment. I felt like such a sense of like calm and peace. She was on my chest and I just like looked over at James and I felt a single tear just like go down my cheek, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is our baby. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting teary even just like thinking about the moment. It was so nice. Oh my gosh. Oh, she's such a precious little girl. Guys, I would give birth all over again. It was so intense, but like so beautiful. And then I carried her over to the bed and I had torn internally, which I didn't know you could do. So my obstetrician had to stitch me up a bit, and then I swear I was waddling around for like weeks afterwards because it was just so sore. But it was all okay. I gave her Snuggies and it's just incredible. Like, I don't know, every baby does this, but I was like, what do I do now to the midwife? She was like, she'll probably like just wriggle around and find your breasts and start feeding. And I was like, okay. So I was just like snuggling her in the bed, and then she just started wriggling down to feed. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, just the instinct of a baby that's like, I've got to go down to your boob and have some milk. It was just like the most beautiful thing, and she was just like having milk for maybe like 20 minutes, and then she went to the other side, and then I could tell James was like just, oh, he really wanted to cuddle, and I wanted to have a shower. So I gave her over to him, and he had his first little snuggles, and oh, it was just so nice, guys. It was so nice. Wow, what a time. So yeah, that's my birth story. I just wanted to say that I'm really happy with how the birth went. It was such a positive experience for me, and I know that it's not a positive experience for everyone else, so I'm like really, really, really thankful that I can like look back and not be traumatized, and I can look back and think that it's just like the most beautiful thing, and she's so precious and we love her so much. Oh gosh, she's such a little squish. I look back at photos of her like in the hospital, and she's like got so much hair, and she's just so little, like her head fit in like the palm of like our hands, and now she's a lot bigger. Oh, it's so nice, just like reminiscing. Anyway, sorry, I'm rambling. I'm just like daydreaming about it now. Anyway, that's it. That is my birth story. I hope you guys liked it. If you're into it, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new around here, I hope that you want to stick around. Please hit the subscribe button. And of course, if you have any questions or you just want to say hi, please just leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one.